Let's go.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah, so I just thought maybe we get together and you could tell me a little bit about any problems that you've had putting these things together for your final FMP
So
project.
biggest problem has been not actually having access to me equipment and that with current situation, and so I've had to find ways of getting around that with using the microphones on the MacBook as opposed to running through Focusrite and using electric instruments. There's been a few tracks I've had to do it acoustically through the microphone on the MacBook, and then finding things like you can still add voicings onto the acoustic instruments. And
So what sort of things did you look at?
so just started playing some songs and that, and then it was like, well, hang on, it's a bit of a dry sound there. What happens if I try using this voicing or that voicing? Or what happens if I try putting it through an amp simulator and things like that? And
So did you try several different ways of doing that? What ways?
just started flicking through the list and keep playing the tune I'd recorded back, and it's like, no, I don't like that one, don't like that one, that's all right. And then found ones obviously that I did like.
Okay, so did you listen to all of them and weigh them out and evaluate them and find out the best sound that you wanted?
Yeah, so the first one I did acoustically, I just did like what I'd usually do, and I had like a sub-harmonizer on the bass or a bit of chorus or something through the effects on the mixing desk. And so they were all right, but then I found with using the actual plugins and that come with Logic, I found that they actually sounded a lot better. And with the fact it was an acoustic guitar going into a microphone and then going through the different voicings and that actually gave it a slightly different sound all of its own.
Okay, so you've had a problem with not having everything there, and then you went and you did some research into the other things that you could do,
Yeah.
listened to things, decided what you
Yeah,
wanted, and,
so
and it sounds like you found a solution that was actually better than what you would have
Yeah.
originally done. Is that right?
Yeah, so I got into that because there was two of the girls on the course. They tried recording something through their MacBook speakers and that, and it hadn't quite worked out, and it sounded like it was delaying on itself or feeding back. And so I thought, well, hang on, if I plug headphones into that and do it, and it's like the first like experiment of it, it was a reasonable sound. So then it was like, well, okay, let's try this and try that and add this and that. And
Okay, so if you're going to look back on it and reflect on it, is that something that you would take forward as well? Is that a thing
yeah,
that
it's definitely another way of doing the job, and it's a different sound, it's a different colour in the crayon box kind of thing, like in it, it gives it a slightly different flavour of
Yeah, no,
yeah,
but it does. It adds a different tone, a different
yeah,
timbre, a different sound to it, and that's something maybe that you could use in the future as well. So you found a solution to that
yeah. I
problem.
found a solution for that. So I know now that it's something I could do. It's like if say an argument, you're out somewhere and you get a slight bit of inspiration, whatever, you don't have to have all the equipment. You can just open up the laptop and pull your acoustic guitar or your acoustic bass out or something and lay things in, and so you might get some nice ambience coming in, whatever, like you get waves or seagulls or whatever else.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a good
Or the
thing to
bin
add
wagon.
on.
Yeah. One or the
You don't
other.
know yet.
You don't know.
Okay, that's good. So well done for finding a solution to that.
Okey-dokey.
Any other problems that you can think of for putting this project
So
together?
number one is the fact that I play bass in bands and that, and so doing a solo bass project, I've had to find ways to do that. So say I've got one track on me EP where it's two basses, one playing accompaniment and then the other playing like a melody. But then there's other bits where I've used keyboards and I've played acoustic guitars and that, and tried little bits of vocalization and that just to put more layers on.
So is that something that you've done before?
I've done bits and pieces. I've played keyboards and played guitar and that on and off for years. But mostly I tend to be playing bass in a band. So it was nice to do something different like that. So what was I going to say there as well? Yeah, but it's been a good experience. It's nice to see that you can still do it. It's kind of like having a jam with yourself. You use one instrument to lay down your groove, and then it's like, oh, where can I take this to, and start adding other things to.
Yeah. So doing this as a solo project, has it's added a lot to your understanding of how the bands work and how the layers work to it. Were you able to get the sounds that you wanted from those instruments? Okay, keep going.
Yeah, I think one of the main ones is the fact that you can actually put in what you want to put in, and without having to have all the arguments of, I don't want you to play it like that, I want you to play it like that, and then all the things that usually go with that when you're working in a band. It's like even when you're putting in a part on somebody else's song, they've usually got umpteen other suggestions of how they want it to sound, and it's like, but this is the way I play.
So have you preferred it overall to have
Yeah,
control over your
I've
content?
preferred that because it's been one of them. It's been my thing from start to finish, and you haven't got somebody else suddenly taking over in the middle of the project and turning it into their piece of music or whatever, or their project, and so that's been.
And is it the first time that you've done that?
It's the first time I've done it properly. So I've done bits and pieces, making demos on 4-tracks and that, back when that's all we had. Years back. So it's been good to actually try and do a proper project with just all me on it. That's been different, and so it's going to be funny when they release it because there's nobody else to blame for the mistakes then, isn't there? It's all mine.
Absolutely. So is that because you're a bass player, is that something that it was easy to find a genre, or easy to find a way
I don't
of creating
know
a
because
solo album?
I'm still not entirely sure what genre it is that I do. Because I think it's because I've played so many different kinds of music and that over the years. It's just me.
Yeah. Would you be able to say, oh, I've been inspired by, and I can hear that in my music?
Oh yeah, there's bits of various bass players I listen to in various bands, so with the guitars and things like that. So with using acoustic guitars and that, I got into that after Nirvana and all that did it in the 90s and stuff, and you had that whole MTV Unplugged thing, and then suddenly the acoustic guitar didn't look like Grandad's guitar in the corner. It was something that you could do something cool with, like. So that's been fun to do that, and you can still, obviously with the technology you've got these days, you can still add bits and pieces, chorus, compression and whatever on, and you can change the sound to a degree on it, like, but still try to keep it to sound like an acoustic guitar, which is.
Yeah. So would you say that when you listen to your music, you can hear the influences, any particular influences?
Yeah, I've got one piece I've done when I've actually done, not actually singing anything per se, but vocalising and that, and I think that was probably inspired by Pink Floyd's Saucer Full of Secrets. As seen that years and years ago when Dave Gilmour just singing the melody thing, and it's like, oh, that's something different. It's not actually singing words, but just singing music, which was. So it was fun to try that.
It's good to have something that you were inspired by such a long time ago, and now be able to say,
unfortunately,
I
I had
and
lots and lots of effects, so I could actually make it sound half decent as well.
That always helps, isn't it? So how did you manage to do that?
Lots of delay.
Yeah, lots of delay.
Lots of delay.
Yeah, and so that's also Pink Floyd inspired those things on it. So actually in the production, you'd say you're mostly inspired by any other people inspire the production or the sound?
I don't know. It's just depends what I'm listening to. Really, I tend to get inspired by listening to. So while I've been doing this, I've been mostly listening to old bands like Gong and Pink Floyd and stuff like that. And
So when you're writing when you're creating the music that you're writing, is it have you been listening to certain music where it all comes out, or are you in a particular state of mind, or how easy do you find it to write your music?
and I'm not a person that writes a lot. Every now and again, I'll just get the guitar out and have a play on the guitar or play me bass or something, and then it's like, well, hang on a minute, if that sounds right, if I could put some drums to that or something, and then play that, and then it's what else can you do, and it tends to come around when I'm not planning on doing it. I find if I sit down and actually I'm going to write a song today, it'll just never get done.
Okay, so would you say that actually is potentially a problem in the timeline of being able to create the songs? You need to be in the right position to create them.
Yeah, can't have to be in the right sort of state to do it, which again is a good thing with doing the whole solo thing. You're not dependent on somebody else, and it's like, oh, I just feel like doing a bit of playing today, and then it's, you know, it's the whole thing with music in it. If you can bash out 3 chords and lose a couple of hours of your life, it's a worthwhile cause kind of thing. Like,
Yeah, so I suppose it's finding, putting all of that in a timeline for a successful project like this, because this is time bound,
yeah,
isn't it?
that's
So,
been hard because it's been one of those, everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong on a personal level more than professional, but so they tend to impact on each other kind of thing.
well,
Like,
as you were saying before, it meant you didn't have all your equipment.
yeah, so you're
all
not
of those
living
things.
at home and sofa surfing and that. It's been one of them, but say after going through the experience, it's like, well, hang on, yeah, you can do that, just set up anywhere, and
And have you
you
had
can
the
still record.
ability to do more writing? Have you, since this situation changed, were you able to do any
Yeah,
writing?
I've done a bit more because I hadn't really done any writing or anything for months probably since the summer. So yeah, it's been, but so obviously with the situation I'm in now, I'm still, when nobody else is around, it's one of them. But when I get these things sorted out and I get myself settled somewhere, I'll be able to obviously do a lot more work because I'll have a lot more time myself. And
Yeah. So have you learned anything about your writing process? Now you've been forced into a situation where you have so little time to
yeah, I
yourself and
don't
so
really
much
have
pressure
a
to create.
process. It's just what comes out kind of thing. It's very hard one. I've never been a sort of one of these people. You get, some people will write a song a day, and it's like I've never been able to do that or been in a position to do that.
And does it all come out together? Or I mean, when you're writing, can you then hear the layers that you want, or is it a slow building up process?
Yeah, it's more of an idea of that. Well, it'd be nice if I put a bit of guitar there or I did something there. Then it's usually actually start playing it and see what fits. So quite often sometimes it's the first idea you get is the best one, like, and because you'll go off and you'll do another couple of takes or something and then find that you'll come back and use the first one anyway. It's whatever's most in the moment.
Okay, so the project that you've ended up with, is that the one that you envisaged at the start?
No, so what I was gonna do at the start, I had all sorts of ideas of ambient music and things and more synthesizers and stuff like that, and so there's a few bits and pieces there that are purely synthesizer based and things, but so they tend to be a bit shorter because it was just experiments and that, and I just thought that sounds all right. If I put that between that track and that track, it's kind of an interlude.
So
But so there's way more acoustic on this than I ever thought there would be.
Okay, and is that a happy?
Yeah, it's been nice because it's all been my work and not somebody else's. So it's been nice to see where I've taken myself of it, kind of thing, which has been.
Okay, so this was were there any major problems that came up that made you think, oh, I was working in this way, but no, I'm definitely going to step back and do something else, or did it organically grow? So this was your original idea, but what was coming out in your creative process wasn't that.
You know, it's just one of them. It's just been what's come out has come out. So there's one piece, very short piece called "The Mind is a Dark and Scary Place," and that was sitting around at a mate's, and he was off playing computer games in the room with his friend, and it's like, oh, I've never used the QWERTY keyboard, the actual laptop keyboard, as a keyboard, and
Okay.
I was aware that you could, and I never tried it, and then I tried that, and when I'd finished, my friend said, I really like that. And it's like, so I decided I'd keep that in then. Like, it's.
Feedback from
Yeah,
somebody.
actually got some feedback.
You got some feedback and you listened to it and
Listened to
evaluated
it, and I
and
thought,
went,
yeah,
yes.
because what was originally just going to be a 5 minute or 10 minute experiment to see if it would work actually turned out okay, and I was happy with the results myself. But then somebody else saying, I really like that, you should use that, it was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that then.
Okay, and that sort of changed your overall outlook of the whole project. So that's a nice serendipitous thing. So I think the only other thing I want to ask is the research that you put in when you were.
Research, so say fortunately with the last project we had to do was we had to pick a bass player and then write up on a bass player, and as it happened, the bass player I chose to write about and cover the songs, there wasn't an awful lot of stuff there, so Chris he said, well, just write about as many bass players if you've been influenced by as you could. And so that was quite good fun to go over that and listen to all what they'd done and things again, and so just to go back over the influences. And so that was quite interesting. So that's been quite good. It's given me a few little pointers, different genres and stuff. And
Yeah, and was there anything that you heard in that, or anything that you wanted to reproduce that you then needed to find a solution for, that you didn't already have to know how to put that together?
I don't know. So there's this guy. He's not a bass player. Stephen Wilson, who played in Porcupine Tree and things, and has his own solo project. And listening to the way he puts things together, and the fact he has so many projects because he does all kinds of different sounds on each one, and that, like, he'll have an ambient thing, he'll have a rock thing, he'll have an electronic thing, and it's listening to that. And so that was very good. It was, well, yeah, don't just stick to one thing, try other things and see what works. And
So did you have to do a lot of learning new technical skills, new?
its main one was remembering how to play guitar, because I'd not really played much guitar in the last 3 or 4 years, probably longer, since going back to being a bass player again and that. And I tended to throw myself totally into that, and then as time's gone on, it's been, well, I've had to remember how to play a guitar and how to play a keyboard and things. And
Is it lead guitar or would it?
there's bits of lead and bits of rhythm guitar and that on there, and then there's, what else was I saying there? There's, and say, bits of piano and synthesizer and all that, and then with putting the drums together and that, what drums will work with what thing.
And did you have to do any research to
And
develop that?
mainly just listening to as many